Awesome guys, my name is Brad, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another Duel Links video, welcome back to another Duel Links discussion video. Today, I'm going to be talking about a bunch of Synchro monsters that I think we should have kind of gotten, or we should get within like the launch kind of window for 5D's World. Now, 5D's World is about 2 months old at this point, 2 months, 2 weeks, god, it feels like 2 months, given that everyone's kind of moved on from it, but we should have gotten some Synchro monsters, I think, and I think there was a lot missing from launch, especially considering that you could only, if you're a free-to-play player only, let's say you didn't go into the box at all, you were only able to get 2 Synchro monsters, Junk Berserker and Junk Warrior. Now, of course, we've gotten through the card trader, Gigantic Castle, which is a good start, but these Synchros could kind of be a bit of a better move or better push forward. And some of them we might see, some of them we might not see. These are just some of the Synchros that kind of came to mind when I was thinking about what I'd see in Duel Links, what are kind of some generic and not so generic Synchros that I think could see some play in certain decks that would kind of not just fit those X-Saber and Stardust Dragon deck kind of themes that they've kind of been giving us for the first kind of wave of Synchros. And I said kind of a lot, so let's take a look at some of them, starting with X-Saber Bellum. This was one of these Synchros that I really thought we were going to be getting on launch. I thought that if there was anything that was going to happen, we were going to get the majority of the cards that came in the original 5D's 2008 starter deck. We already had some of them in the game, like Synchro Boost, and of course we've got Junk Synchron as a skill, and everything else we kind of didn't get. I think we've got Fighting Spirit as a super rare from Yusei, that I believe that was in that set, if not it was in like the Duelist Genesis booster set, and that came out shortly afterwards. But X-Saber Bellum was one of the earliest Synchro monsters and one that saw quite a bit of play for just being so generic. It's a level 7, which we haven't actually got any level 7 Synchros in the game, and from my experience of playing Duel Links and from testing around with especially with, like the Junk Warrior skill, the Mark of the Dragon head skill I think it is, you end up getting a board, or you end up getting a field where a level 7 Synchro is very, very easy and very common, whereas like your level 8 Synchros to go into like Stardust Dragon, or level 5 to go into things like one of your X-Sabers, or like a level 6 to go into Urquizers, is very rare. And I think Konami kind of knew this, and that's why they didn't put in things like X-Saber Bellum, which has a really cool effect. It's pretty weak, it's only 2200 attack, it's not too powerful, but when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent while they have 4 more cards in their hand, place one random card from the hand on top of the deck. So it acts like sort of the Deep Siege for your opponent, which is good for you because obviously you're making it so your opponent doesn't get any more card advantage, but it's still quite a hard card to kind of pull off because it requires 4 more cards in their hand, and the only time they're going to have that for definite is on their first turn. If they, if you're going first and they're only just drawing a starting hand, the majority of the time your opponent is going to start playing cards from the hand, and they're going to lose advantage in the hand department very, very quickly, making this card's effect kind of redundant. So I'm kind of wary as to why Konami decided that Bellum wasn't the best choice. Of course, there are like X-Saber tunes we're missing, like Air Bellum, which I think is a level 3 tuner, I think it is, an effect monster obviously, that came in the same star deck as this did, but a card that I think is sorely missing, and again level 7, kind of like Gaius Saber, the Force of Earth, which came in the same starter deck. Where this was, I don't know. Just a generic level 6. It's only level, I thought it was level 7 at first, it's a level 6, so I can maybe see why they didn't want to go for a straight 2600 attack point monster when they've got things like Urquizers, which is say 2100, that starts off as that and then gets stronger as it goes on. So I'm wondering if that was kind of their instinct, that maybe level 6 would be too easy to summon, which is why they didn't give us Gaia Knight, but hopefully we see Gaia Knight fairly soon. Next we have Scarred Warrior, so level 5 Earth, again very generic, 200 attack, so fits in line with other level 5 monsters we currently have. Your opponent cannot target face-up warrior type monsters for attacks, except this one. So immediately adding more value to the X-Saber strategy, which I think this would have been a very nice card to kind of include. And I think if there's any like generic Synchros we're going to be getting very soon, I think this might be one of them, because Konami kind of would want to at least kind of enhance that X-Saber deck that a lot of people went into the box for, because it was the main selling point of the last set. So if they can give us this, that's really good. Once per turn, if this card will be destroyed by battle, it is not destroyed. So it's got battle prevention, and it is the only warrior your opponent can attack. That's really good, and it's a 5-star very generic. It's an Earth, combos well with I think it's a Gaius tuner monster, I think it is, that has to be used on an earth type monster, the plant you get from leveling her up. So again, a card that could combo very well with some of the skills and cards and decks in Duel Links right now. Next we have a card from one of my favourite sets, Raging Battle. This is when Morphtronics debuted. Sea Dragon Lord Madan. It's a level 5 water monster with 2000 attack, 800 defense, so okay stat line, nothing too great. 1 tuner plus 1 level 3 non-tuner monster, so it pretty much requires a level 2 tuner and a level 3 non-tuner, so you are very limited on what you can kind of use this in. When a face-up level 3 or lower monster on the field is sent to the graveyard, this card's attack becomes 3000 until the end phase of this turn. So I believe this works like, say you had a level 3 on your field and you used that as a tribute summon or as a synchro summon, this would still count, and then you'd be able to boost Madan up to 3000, making it a pretty strong monster. Again, the use case of this card is extremely obvious. You could use it in things like Atlanteans, those all level 3 or lower. You could use it with Hammer Shark, which obviously you can make its level 3 and then special a monster from your hand, so you can kind of go into more synchro plays, boost up your field, and then keep going into that and make this attack 3000 and deal some big damage. So like maybe splashing this in like the Golden Flying Fish deck would be a nice little kind of tech you could use. Additionally, you could use it in Morphtronics, but then also in Blackwings. Of course, Blackwings right now don't really have any synchro monsters apart from Blackwing Dragon, which isn't part of the archetype. You could use it with Bliss the Far North as well as Ghibli the Searing Wind to go for a level 5 very, very easily. And of course, Blackwings, you'll be sending them to the graveyard to go in for synchro summons again. So again, boosting this guy's attack point up and just giving you a nice boss monster for the deck. Like, other than Elfin, Blackwings don't have much, and this is more stronger than Elfin. So another cool card that could kind of enhance that strategy until we get actual Blackwing synchros and tuners that are going to be worthwhile running, like Armed Wing. This would be a nice little stall for time from Konami, I think. I'd appreciate it. Then we have Samurai Destroyer. This is our first non-5D synchro, and it's the only one on this list, I believe, that's not really from that era. Actually, there's one more from that era, actually, now I think about it. It's a level 7, requires 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuners machine, 2000 attack, 4000 defense, so again, the same kind of stat line as Gaia Force of the Earth. If this card destroys the opponent's monster, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects till the end of the damage step. So, it is an Ancient Gear Golem, pretty good, you know, I'm fine with that kind of effect. In a synchro monster, it requires pretty much 2 monsters, same as Ancient Gear Golem does, so it makes sense this would be kind of feasible for Duel Links. Also, if that opponent's monster has its effects negated during the battle phase only. I don't think that's too much of a problem. I think that's pretty fine. It kind of counters things like Man Eater Bug. Not that people are going to be running that, but it's the only example I can kind of think of off the top of my head. If this face-up card in its owner's possession leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you could target one machine-type monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Now, due to the wording on this card, you can actually bring back Samurai Destroyer, which means that it's kind of invincible if your opponent is killing it with card effects, so Domper is going to do nothing against this card. Tribute to the Doom is going to do nothing against this card. So a very powerful card, and it is very reminiscent of a very classic 5D synchro, Colossal Fighter, which was able to bring itself back when it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard. Obviously, I can see why Konami didn't want to give us Colossal Fighter. It is a level 8, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is a level 8 monster, I had to count up there. And in my opinion, it's kind of more splashable than Stardust is. You obviously run it in tandem with it, and depending on the situation, you'd use it because you are essentially just having this big free wall that can never be destroyed if your opponent isn't running things that can just destroy outside the battle. So, Colossal Fighter, I don't see us getting that soon. However, Samurai Destroyer, I think, has a much higher chance just because of the fact it's a card effect destruction only, and your opponent has to do it, so it is a lot fairer in that regard. Then we have support for a old archetype, and one that Playmaker Duel Links has kind of reinvigorated with synchro summoning with one of the new skills from, I think, Akiza or Luna or Leo, one of those two. Legendary 6 Samurai Shi-En, level 5 Dark Warrior Synchro, 1 Warrior Tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner 6 Samurai monsters, so requires those monsters, basically meaning you're going to be going for a level 1 and a level 4 6 Samurai most of the time, if not level 2 and a 3. Once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can negate the activation. If you do, destroy it. So it is pretty much a Wiz Sage for Hire in a synchro monster, which I think is pretty fair considering the 6 Samurais we have in Duel Links right now. I don't think they're going to generate too much advantage from getting rid of 2 of them to bring this guy out. So I think it's kind of fair for 6 Samurais to have their own version of Whiz. It takes more to summon out to the field. Obviously 6 Samurais can, they can bring out quite a bit in one turn, but the majority of the times we're playing 6 Samurais, they're going to be going into Great Shogun Shien, they're going to be filling up their board with high level monsters, and they're not going to be able to go into a Synchro summon. So I think this is very fair, and again, has that same destruction saving effect that all 6 Samurais have, where you can destroy another 6 Samurai monster. So a really good card, and I think of archetypal cards we're going to see soon. I think Legendary 6 Samurai Shien is up there as one we'll see very soon. I think that the deck kind of needs it. Or it doesn't necessarily need it, but I think would benefit quite well from having a Synchro monster and being a deck that is so free-to-play friendly as well. I should have mentioned this in my last video that I did on free-to-play decks that kind of need their Synchros, which the deck doesn't really, but it just would be a nice bit of consistency boosting and give you some extra utility against some of the more meta decks right now. So things like Spellbooks would kind of get fucked by this because you'd just be able to negate their fate every turn. So, really nice card. Then we have another card for another archetype that people kind of love and like to splash in with Hazy Flames, and that is Fire Fist, Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Horse Prince. So I don't know any of the Fire Fist tuners, I've just kind of looked at this and it says 1 Fire tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters, so it's very generic. Again, when this card is Synchro summoned, you can special summon 1 level 3 Fire monster from your deck. After you Synchro summon this card, you cannot special summon level 5 or higher monsters for the rest of the turn. So you're kind of banking on doing all of that beforehand, and then maybe you could go to things like a Hazy Flame Sphinx or something after this if you want to combo it with that deck, but you won't be able to use this effect to special summon from the graveyard. So you're getting a boss monster on the field that has a fairly decent stats, 2200 attack and defense, so it can push its own weight. It's really, really good. Gets you an extra monster on the field and potentially can set you up for another Synchro summon. Obviously, you're kind of the way that they probably wanted you to play this card was to go into an X-Saber summon play, because you'd then be avoiding the level thing and you're going for ranks. But in Duel Links, I think this could see some actual utility and be not too bad actually in the Fire Fist strategy in Duel Links. So I'd like to see this card. I think it'd be quite good. And finally, a card that I think we're not going to get, but I just want to put on this list because I really want to see in Duel Links. One of my favorite Synchro monsters from Crimson Crisis, my favorite booster set of all time, Dark Strike Fighter. Now, this card was banned in the TCG and got an errata to make it infinitely worse. So the effect that if it came to Duel Links it would have would be 1 tuner plus 1 more non-tuner monster is level 7. During your main phase 1, you contribute 1 monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the tribute monster's level times 200. You can only use the effect of Dark Strike Fighter once per turn. So a hard once per turn, dealing damage to your opponent, effect damage, like I said, you're going to see that a lot. I've been saying that a lot in my past couple of videos, you're going to be seeing that a lot over the coming weeks and months, as more, kind of cards from the 5Ds era deal you effect damage. And then you've got this nice 2600 attack point monster on the field to attack with in the battle phase, and potentially go for game if you manage to have your opponent has nothing on the field. You can tribute one of your lesser monsters at level 7, it kind of have to be to guarantee an OTK in Duel Links, but you could potentially try and do that and just beat over your opponent's monster in the battle phase. So a very powerful card. When it first came out, it was actually broken as hell, because with main phase 2 and a bit not being a hard once per turn, you could summon this monster, attack with it, and then main phase 2, tribute itself and everything on your field, and just burn your opponent for that amount of damage. So it was broken as hell, that's why it got banned. It is much weaker now, and I think it would be kind of okay for Duel Links, because again it is a level 7, it is kind of generic, but it only has utility if you're willing to sacrifice your monster in main phase 1, which you might not be willing to do given that main phase 1 is all you have in Duel Links. So food for thought. Let me know what Synchro monster you'd like to see come to Duel Links. Let me know your thoughts in the video comments down below. I'll have more content up for Duel Links over the next couple of days. I'm sorry for being kind of reserved with my Duel Links content recently. Of course, we tried doing the Dragalia thing, it didn't really work out, and we did the Speed Duel video course, and I've not been feeling like uploading. I've not been in the best of mindsets for doing YouTube, which is why I haven't been making content. But back to kind of make some awesome new content for you guys. Got a ton of discussion videos, and of course, rank PvP videos are coming very, very soon. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next Duel Links video. See you then.